April is the time when several of the supermarkets and garden centres start stocking seedling or young Japanese maples, and these make great subjects for bonsai. And in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 trees which have got multiple trunks, and I'm going to attach them all together to form essentially one tree. What I'm making is a Kabudachi or clump style maple tree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these trees out of these little pots, clear away the soil from the roots, and then I'm going to bind the 3 trees together. And what I'm going to use is some air hose from a pump, a pond aquatic system. And what I'm hoping will happen is that over the coming several months, perhaps even a year, the trunks or the cambium layers of these trees will fuse together to form one trunk with several branches coming out of the top. And then in subsequent years I can style the branches, add a little bit of movement, and just let that grow. And over the years it will develop potentially into a beautiful clump style tree. So let's get to it. Let's start by taking the plants out of the pot and lose some of this soil that they're in and expose the roots. And it's almost a shame to use this lovely chopstick which I was given by Tony of Tony's Bonsai, but it's ideal for this job. Gently removing the soil or compost away from the roots, and I just want to expose those so that I can attach the lower roots of the 3 trees together. And I don't necessarily have to bare root these trees, just as long as I take the majority of the soil off there so that I can actually see the roots. What I want to do is I want to bring the trunks as close together as I possibly can in order to attach them and get them to grow together and fuse. So I've been around that tree and I've taken off a substantial proportion of the soil on there. There's a little bit more in there. Because the trees have actually started leafing out, I want to avoid causing too much damage to the roots. At this point in the tree's life, the leaves will be beginning to transpire and put out water, and in order to do that they need the roots to be functional to take up water, which will then pass along to the leaves. But I think we should be good there. That should be sufficient, I think. Just need to be able to see the roots. And I'll just go for it on this one. So I've been able to remove quite a lot of that soil just by hand. It's quite loose. And yeah, just stab at that with the chopstick just to free that up and allow me to remove more of that and get the roots. I'm just rotating the tree round and poking into the root ball, trying not to rip, tear or shear any of the roots. I'm just really trying to loosen the soil. And that's coming away, so I should be able to just remove some of that now with my fingers. So what I'm wanting to be able to do is to place these trunks as close to each other as possible and then bind them together. And then as the trees grow and develop over the coming season, that cambium on those three trunks will join together, fuse, and they will effectively become one tree with one set of roots. And we'll have a tree that's got multiple trunks. I've now bare rooted my three trees, and what I'm going to try and do is attach those together. So I'm just going to have a look at the roots on these things, and what I'm looking for is a side of the plant which is clear of roots, so I can get the plants as close to each other as possible. Without taking too much root off them. And then what I'm going to do is just take some wire and bind that around the trunks of the trees. But because I don't want the wire to bite into the relatively young trees, what I'm going to use is some air hose available from any aquatics centre or aquatics shop. Because I happen to have a koi pond with an air pump, I do have some spare air hose just lying around. It's fairly inexpensive stuff, but what that will do is it will just shield your wire from damaging your tree. And just act as a sleeve on the wire. And that piece of wire there may well be far longer than I actually need, but what I now need to try and do is bring the three trees as close together as is possible, particularly at the root base, in a way that's going to look attractive. And I think that's the point at which these are going to join together. And what I need to do is wrap this wire around the trunks as tightly as possible. So I'm actually going to try and pass this around the trees more than once. And then try and twist and tie that end together there. And it helps if you've got some gym pliers or something to help do this. So what I want to do now is I want to pull those trunks together as close as is possible. In the lower portion. And there we go, we've got a fairly good spread of roots already. And I'm just going to pop that into a pond basket now. I do have some tie wire to try and stop that from falling about all over the place. So I'm just going to pop that on the bottom of the basket and just choose a couple of random holes in the bottom there just to push the wire through. And this is just to hold the trees steady in the pot so they don't fall out and don't move about too much whilst those roots are setting and whilst the trunks are fusing together. So there are tied down those. What we want to do now is get plenty of free draining soil in the bottom of that pond basket. Bed those trees down onto that. Let's see if I can't just tie those down without damaging anything. And what I'm going to try and do is, where I've got the knot where the wires were tied together, I'm just going to see if I can tie the tie wires or pull the tie wires over that as a point for anchoring the trees into this pot. And just being careful not to trap or damage any of those young roots. So there we go. Steady that up in the pot. Snip off the excess. And then all I'm going to do is just top up the pot. Plenty of free draining soil in there, and those trees will sit somewhere out of the way for perhaps another 6 months, I would say, and then I'll take a look at that, and also at that point I might then think about what I can do about just adding a little bit of wire to some of these branches, just to add a little bit of movement into there. So that's a Kabudachi style Japanese maple clump starting on its bonsai journey. I'm sure you know the drill by now. The last job is always to water the tree to help it settle into the pot. I hope you found some of that useful or interesting. If so, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to be notified of future videos. Hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.